You said if you heard somebody was going in for neck surgery, you would tell them immediately to get a second and third opinion.
Absolutely. I went for the surgery because I thought I was going to get paralyzed if I didn't go for the surgery. He said it was really.
Listening to rock and roll legend Ozzy Osborne describe his failed spinal surgery is absolutely gut-wrenching. He describes being severely depressed and being a burden on his wife, and going from a position of being an entertainer to essentially being bedridden after a spine surgery. How could this happen? How could someone as famous as Ozzy have the wrong surgery done? We put our trust in doctors to make the right decision for us. And in his case, most likely, he didn't have the right surgery for the condition that he presented with. I am not his doctor and I am not privy to all the information in this case, but I have pulled some details online and let me just break it down for you. Based on the description of what they describe, I believe he likely had what's called cervical myelopathy or spinal stenosis and spinal cord compression in his neck, which led him to become weak, which required surgery. Here are his post-op x-rays, which are a consequence of that surgery that failed him. And you can see that his neck is extremely leaned over, or he has what's called cervical kyphosis. After having surgery on the back of your neck or a posterior cervical approach, you can develop what's called post-laminectomy kyphosis, or where your neck muscles can no longer support your spine and your head feels heavy and starts to lean over more and more. If a patient has an element of kyphosis going into surgery, a laminoplasty is not the right procedure to do. You can look at pictures of Ozzy online from 2018, 2019 before he had that procedure and tell that he was somewhat kyphotic. And that likely worsened after surgery, which led him to become more and more debilitated. Here is one of his reported postoperative MRI scans before his most recent surgery this year. This is an intraoperative x-ray scan from what he reportedly had at the beginning of this year, which appears to be a 2-level cervical disc replacement. In someone at the age of 74 with extreme cervical kyphosis and Parkinson's disease, this surgical decision-making is somewhat questionable. I only want the best for Ozzy, and I sure hope that he recovers well from this procedure and can do what he desires to do, which is to get back on stage. I do want to reiterate the important points that he made at the beginning of this video, and that is to obtain a second opinion, get another set of eyes on your imaging to understand what's wrong with your spine before you make any decisions on what surgical options that you may want to pursue for your spine. There are so many different ways that we can utilize to treat the spine, and it can be extremely overwhelming for a patient. Put yourself out there, ask questions, get the answers that you need before you make a life-changing decision.